All right, Caniacs. It is Tuesday night. It's just before the Vegas Colorado game four. It's been about 24 hours since game three. So, time for a reaction. I've let it process for 24 hours. It's time to give you my thoughts. First of all, what resilience from Carolina. That whole like at least the whole second half of the game, the third period and the overtime certainly felt like at any moment it was going to go Montreal's way and they were gonna end it there. Obviously, before I forget, we finally have some puck luck, and Caulfield ends up going about half an inch off sides to a full inch off sides when they end up scoring there in the third period, kind of halfway through the third period. That one I think was definitely going to be a dagger. I wasn't too sure if I wasn't too confident after thinking that was the goal, that Carolina was going to be able to make a turnaround there and bring it back and tie it up again. So huge credit to the hockey gods there for giving us that offsides. The video coaches too, they were immediately on it. I'm pretty sure Brendan Moore was calling for a challenge almost out of the gate, and that I would more than guess comes from the video coaches because in real time that certainly looked like it was on sides. But in slow mo, clearly offsides. Great break for the Canes. It's exactly what they've needed for a long time now, not just this postseason, but even in the regular season. I feel like they're always the team that's on the short end of those types of plays, and it's just good to have one go in our favor this go around. And that saved the game for them. They end up, potting one in there late in the third. Svechnikov, it's good to see him going again. It's good that he found the back of the net there on a pass from Jarvis and a fantastic screen from Aho in front of the net. They were approaching 40 shots on goal and couldn't get that third one. So I was glad he was able to make that play there. It was a great read off of Lane Hudson, making a pass through the center there, and Svechnikov just read it well and charged in with possession and maintained it, and created that situation for himself. So that was an electric ending to the game. It was fantastic hearing the silence of the Montreal crowd. But Carolina was in that game and in control of that game basically from the puck drop. They had two kind of breakdowns there that ended up resulting in those two goals against. But outside of that, outside of the scoreboard, I mean, they held them to 12 or 13 shots in almost four periods of play. They're clearly the more dominant team. It's just a matter of what the scoreboard ends up being, what you get from Freddie, and what you get from the defense in terms of defensive collapses or tragedies, more or less. But last night was good. They kept hitting it. They kept their stride going. The speed was all there. The guys were not looking gassed at all. At times, I think they were looking pretty tired, but they got to those breaks. They got to the intermissions, and they were charged back up. You could clearly see Montreal. The fatigue, I think, is starting to set in on Montreal. They've played a lot of hockey this season. They've like I was saying going into this series, they've played almost two full series more worth of games in going to game seven for round one and two for them. So it's been grueling for them, and they're also the non-home ice dominant team for most of these playoffs, if not all three rounds. And so they're doing a lot of travel. They're not playing at home as often. And even when they are, they're not playing well. They're now 2-5 at home. And that's problematic for them. So it was huge for Carolina to step up and reclaim that home ice advantage last night in game three. Now game four, we'll see what happens, but all the momentum's in Carolina's, favor. You can only hope that it continues and they come out of that thing, come out of that game four with one to go. That would be fantastic. And then one other thing I wanted to say before I forgot as well is one of the other aspects that I really started to notice about this team is their shot blocking. Their shot blocking is really starting to shine. Part of the reason why Montreal only had the two shots between the third and the third period and the overtime period is because the Carolina was putting a lot of bodies in front of the shots and blocking, doing what they had to stop that puck from getting to Freddie and getting to the back of the net. Really liked seeing that from the boys. It's been some. I would say it's relatively uncharacteristic of this team, but it's always been a dagger for us when we're facing a team that commits to that type of play, and prevents us from getting shots through. And Montreal's been doing it. Montreal's been doing it. They know that it's no secret. It's been years now that we've seen teams halt us in the playoffs, and it largely stems from the amount of shot blocking those teams do. And Montreal, took that and ran with it, and they've been doing a lot of that this postseason, this series with us. And that's one of the reasons why they had such a good game one, is because they had such good shot blocking going on. But it's really nice to see Carolina step up. You're starting to see, seeing so many championship teams over the years and being able to look back on them in hindsight, I feel like I've almost been looking at this present day run in sort of hindsight terms, with hindsight glasses on. And if I could do that at this point in time, I would say you can really start seeing this team start to take on different personas, start to take on different roles. Taylor Hall has, the more that this postseason has gone on, his production obviously hasn't really tailed off whatsoever, but he's really brought more of a physical aspect to his game, and that's something that we haven't always seen from Taylor Hall throughout his career, not just with Carolina. You see guys like, Stankoven and Blake are right there with him too. Stankoven and Blake are feisty little guys. They create plays out of nothing. They hem defensemen in. When Carolina's getting a change and either Blake and or Stankoven is still low in the offensive zone, trying to prevent the defense from moving forward with the puck and transitioning through the neutral zone, they sometimes create turnovers in those situations. The play is never really dead when either of those guys are involved with it. We saw the defense stepping up a lot last night in Game 3. Gostisbehere opened the scoring for us there in the first period with a nice, shot from the dot, or just inside the dot, I think. So you just see a lot of these roles are starting to come out of guys that you haven't seen in the past, and that's something that the longer you go in the playoffs, the more of that you need. And it's not to say that you need everyone doing that. Jacob Slavin, I'm completely fine with him just playing his defensive game. But if he does have an opportunity to shoot. It's going to be a team effort, and part of that is the team molding and mending in a way that will cover weaknesses and holes and gaps that are there throughout the course of a game or a series. And that's a big characteristic of Stanley Cup teams, of teams that get there and teams that also end up winning. So really exciting to see this type of play from Carolina right now. Tomorrow's game is, I believe it's a 7:00 game tomorrow, so a bit more of a break there for us East Coast viewers. That'll be nice. But tomorrow's Game 4 in the Bell Center. Let's hope Carolina comes out with it. It would be fantastic if they do. If they don't, I'm not all that worried. The team looks fantastic right now. They look like what we expected them to look like at the start of this series. So I'm glad to see it. But anyways, thanks for listening, Canes fans. Do appreciate your time. We'll be back with a Game 4 the next day after review on, that would be Thursday. So tune in then. And until then, go Canes!